I got you. All right. Everybody ready? All right. Hereby call this meeting of the Henry County School Board to order. Mrs. Meeks, if you would, with the roll call, please.
Mr. Alford?
Here.
Ms. Bringer?
Here.
Ms. Durden?
Here.
Mr. Bradley?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Ms. Whitlow? Ms. Patel? Mr. Bateman?
All right. First item is the approval of the agenda. So does anyone have a motion or an amendment?
Move that we approve the agenda.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Gravely. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Hardy. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Certainly want to welcome the many visitors we have here this evening and look forward to presentations, awards, recognitions, etc. And again, thank you for coming out this evening. If you would, I will ask you to stand. We'll do a moment of silence and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Durden, would you mind leading the pledge when we get there?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. The first item we have is public comment. So I'm going to read the kind of rules here, and then just to clarify, Mrs. Meeks, I've got two. So this list first, this list second. All right. Just wanted to make sure I got them correct. All right, so I will read off this statement, then I will call this list that pre-signed up, and then I'll call this list that signed up this evening, okay? All right, so first, for matters presented by the public, this is the time for public comment. That means we are here to listen to you, not to engage in any question and answer period or debate. Upon arrival at the podium, please state your name, your subject matter, and the district in which you live. By coming to the podium, you have agreed that you will exhibit respect for the board and its members, as well as the staff and students of Henry County Public Schools. You will receive the same consideration from the board, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. The first speaker I have signed up is Cindy Townsend.
I'm Cindy Townsend. I'm in Reed Creek District. I'm sure I'm not saying this in order. I don't remember what else. LifeWise. I'm speaking on LifeWise. So, I was born and raised here in Henry County, and I joined the Marine Corps when I was 20 and moved away, but my husband and I moved back a few years ago when he retired. And we love Henry County, want to see it flourish, and that's why we would like to see LifeWise implemented. A quick explanation just as to what the release time religious instruction is. In a nutshell, it's religious instruction that occurs during school hours. In 1952, the Supreme Court ruled that this is legal as long as parents approve, it doesn't cost the school system anything, and it takes place off of school property. There are other release time programs available, but we were very impressed with LifeWise. An independent study showed that the schools involved in LifeWise had improved academic performance, and attendance, as well as a decline in disciplinary issues. All in all, the teachers, parents, and students who are involved love the program. When there was enough interest in bringing LifeWise to Henry County, we formed a steering committee of concerned citizens who care about the schools, the teachers, and the students, and who want to come alongside them. Of course, we know that school personnel know better than we do the best way to implement it here, but we envision starting LifeWise in the 1st and 2nd grade at one school. Then it can be easily expanded. The LifeWise program would not be part of the school curriculum, but the class schedule is set by school personnel working with LifeWise representatives. Usually LifeWise classes are scheduled as part of the specials rotation or during times when other elective courses are offered. In order to fall in line with the Henry County school system's core values of respect, integrity, excellence, and equity, it's important to offer LifeWise during the school day. If it's held before or after school, there are many children that would not be able to participate. The less advantaged students wouldn't be able to participate because of transportation issues. Currently, LifeWise has 443 programs in 15 states, and it's growing exponentially. There are 2 existing LifeWise programs in Virginia. There are others in various stages of planning and development. There are so many other advantages to implementing LifeWise, but I only have time to mention a couple more. The volunteers who work with LifeWise usually end up getting more involved in the schools and volunteering in other ways. And parents gain confidence in the system, and they don't seek to flee. There are other aspects of LifeWise that the steering committee would like to address with the board, and would be happy to answer any questions or to be put on the agenda to give a full presentation. But in the meantime, we have informational packets for anyone who is interested. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. My next speaker signed up is Pam Ellis.
Good evening. My name is Pam Ellis, and I'm a resident of the Iriswood District. And I want to thank you for allowing us to speak on behalf of LifeWise. Our children and families today are faced with many challenges. The number one issue today among young people is anxiety and depression. Number 2 is peer pressure and bullying. As a women's ministry leader at my church, I have spoken with many mothers and grandmothers about issues facing our kids in Henry County schools. Also, being a CASA volunteer, which is a court-appointed special advocate for children, I have met children and seen firsthand the issues ranging from lack of discipline to lack of respect to lack of morals and values. Thomas Jefferson, writer of the Declaration of Independence and our 3rd President of the United States, often questioned the divinity of Jesus Christ, but he stated, quote, his moral teachings were best in the world. He believed the Bible contained diamonds of wisdom. If you read any headlines today, you will likely see something about children and their lack of knowledge of right and wrong. Some that I've screenshotted over the last few months. 13-year-old girl accused of stabbing her younger sister to death after an argument. 15-year-old charged with murder of USPS mail carrier on duty. Teen accused of causing train to derail and then filmed the derailment. Virginia child charged with bomb threat to Henry County Schools September 10th and another on September 12th. As of October 15th, 2024, there have been 58 school shootings in the U.S. The moral teachings of the Bible, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, honor your father and mother, just to name a few, are foundational moral guidelines that help not only our children, but each of us to be better people. Our families, young adults, and children are being raised blindly to the moral teachings of right and wrong. We need to teach on the Henry County core values that are written out so generations to come will respect others and themselves, have integrity and values, strive for excellence in all they do, and live equally among all people while putting others first. Not only are these core values shown in the Bible and teachings of Jesus Christ, but they are a calling on each one of our lives. Please allow LifeWise to inspire our children to positively impact the world, not only with their minds, but with their hearts also. Each of you have the power to empower, each of you have the opportunity, to empower not only kids today, but generations to come. I hope each of you can one day look back and see how your action in improving the LifeWise program changed children, families in Henry County, Virginia, the United States, and possibly the world. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. All right, next I have Sharon Stork.
Good evening. I'm here in to speak about LifeWise Academy. I'm a resident of Henry County, live in the Draco section. And while my husband and I have no children of our own, I'm sorry, I'm not a public speaker, I'm very nervous. Children have always been an integral part of our life. With our nieces and nephews, our great nieces and nephews, and our friends, we always participated with them in special events and been there to support them and encourage them in every way possible. But the biggest part of my life with students was the 30 years that I worked for the New Jersey Juvenile Justice Commission. In my role as classification officer, I work with juveniles from their admission, intake, until their discharge, administering the records and dealing with law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, courts, administration, parole, and probation. In those 30 years, the Commission had approximately 25,000 juveniles committed for offenses such as 3 months for a stealing of a bike in a very affluent area, to a juvenile who was committed for the maximum term of 15 years for aggravated sexual assault and murder. While the offenses and length of terms and charges varied, I saw characteristics that were reflected in each of the juveniles: hopelessness, despair, loneliness, and lack of self-worth. While the Juvenile Justice Commission is a world away from Henry County, some of these same characteristics are evident in our children, as Pam had just highlighted. I recently had a conversation with somebody in education, and we were talking about the effects that COVID had on the children. And he gave one word answer to how the children were, was damaged. I thought it was a really hard word to hear. I know that your teachers in Henry County are doing a really hard job every day teaching quality education and teaching the characteristics a good student should exhibit in their lives. And this is part of the reason why I became part of the LifeWise Academy Steering Committee. LifeWise has been proven to be successful in having a positive effect on students, which has reflected in reduced tardiness, increased attendance, improved grades, and improved relationships with students and teachers and their families. I hope that you'll please give LifeWise Academy your consideration of implementing this in Henry County.
Thank you. Next, I believe, is Rochelle Edwards.
My name is Rochelle Edwards. I'm from the Bassett District, and I'm speaking on LifeWise. I have 2 testimonies from different communities in Virginia that already has LifeWise in their school system. LifeWise Academy has been a great supplement to our local school system. It reinforces the character qualities that students need in order to have beneficial academic experience. It offers a great avenue of positive community engagement, strengthening schools and community relationships. Also, they feel the further need of choices for the children that were involved. We also started last semester and have already received positive input from the parents about their children's attitude and behavior. I believe it would be a benefit for other LifeWise to offer LifeWise in your school district, and would give the parents great option to choose for themselves. This is from Stephen Wells. By integrating LifeWise Academy in Greensville Elementary School, we are not just enhancing our academy curriculum, but also addressing the holidays needs for students, listening into the voice of their community. LifeWise Academy encourages collaboration among students, family, and communities, fostering a sense of belonging and support. That was from Superintendent Kelvin Edwards of Greensville County. And lastly, from a youth leader locally, dear members of Henry County School Board, I'm reaching out to you today not only as a youth minister, but also as one deeply committed to the well-beings of our youth people each day. I work closely with teens, and I feel firsthand see the challenges that they're facing, the pressures, anxiety, and questions that they can have are feeling so overwhelming. I know how much relationship with Christ can anchor the lives of providing them with purpose, hope, and strength. It's been my privilege to witness this transformation in so many of them, but my support for LifeWise Academy extends beyond the experience with teens. I'm convinced this program can be a gift to students of all ages in Henry County. LifeWise offers something that so many kids need, from young students to teens. For our youngest students who are just learning about the world, it also introduces the values of kindness, patience, and honesty. When children learn that they are loved and valued, they develop confidence and empathy, and these qualities are part of who they are as they grow. For middle schoolers who often face confusion and social pressures, Faith-based programs like Likewise gives them a steady moral compass, reminding them that their worth and teaching them respect to others. And for high schoolers, Likewise provides a safe space to explore the big questions of purpose, identity, and resilience. So many of them struggle with the feeling of loneliness and uncertainty, and I can tell you how powerful this is to hear them, that they are loved and valued just as they are. Knowing Christ brings them a deep sense of peace and direction to help them through some of the hardest moments of their life. Likewise Academy is carefully designed to be a release-time religious instruction program. It's off-campus, privately funded, and offers a full parent consent, respecting our community diversity while meeting legal requirements. Likewise doesn't just teach faith, it teaches character. It builds up students who are more respectable, responsible, and ready to positively impact their students and communities. To me, Likewise represents the change not to shape just good students, but compassionate, grounded, and hopeful young adults, and are prepared to prepare them for the world. I am confident that bringing this program to Henry County Schools will strengthen our community for many years to come. Thank you for considering the Likewise Academy for Henry County students. I truly believe together we can give our young people the foundation that they need to flourish in every part of life. With heartfelt gratitude, Josh Marlowe, Youth Ministry of Fairview Church. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and that's our pre-signups before tonight's signups. And so for tonight's signups, I have Caleb Powell is first.
Good evening. My name is Caleb Powell, and I am from the Ridgeway District. I go to Lowell Park Middle School, and I attend church at Shakers Christian Church. The reason I come to speak tonight is to talk to you about issues in schools today. Kids my age fear school threats. Some have anxiety so bad that they require stress balls or time alone to decompress, while others can be self-centered and unfazed by discipline. I have even seen kids at school with ankle monitors. Seeing the SRO and metal detectors every day should make us feel safe, but it is also a constant reminder of why we need them. Some kids are dealing with divorced parents. Some have parents who abuse drugs and alcohol. Some are in foster care. Some have to go home and help their younger siblings. Some kids just don't feel like they fit in, and some kids are dealing with pressures of social media. I am blessed to live in a 2-parent home and attend church weekly. This summer, I attended church camp where we studied the Bible and I grew closer to God. I felt such at peace. I'm saying that because I want other kids to feel that same peace. I hosted a See You at the Pole at Laurel Park. About 30 kids came and sang, read scripture, and prayed. It was a great opportunity to learn about God and have unity. We even thought about doing something like this monthly before school if we could get a teacher sponsor. LifeWise is the missing link to kids in Henry County schools. It can help kids be more disciplined and more behaved by teaching them about God's love. I really hope you will allow this to happen. Thank you for letting me speak tonight, and God bless you all.
All right, next I have Ray Reed.
Good evening. My name is Ray Reed. I'm from the Spencer District, and I just wanted to speak on, I've been working in the school system now with the youth and teens for almost about 15 years. And I've been doing inside and outside teaching and activities. A lot of these kids have a desire to know more about the Bible, Jesus, how he works, what is right and wrong. They want to know if they're living up to the mark and what they can do to be better. It should be a natural response for humankind as a whole to do better once they know they've messed up. How to make a change and improve throughout their lives. They will have an interest and a desire to know more about, because this is not the normal. So it really does work. The desire is we need to have this ongoing and not just participating in like once a year. Because if this is on a consistent basis, you'll see more productivity and improvement in their mental health, in their physical health, and also in their intellectual health. It will be wonderful through its positive outlook and reaching capabilities. We have a purpose in the work field to perform the tasks that are given to us to make it more productive and to complete our missions. Any task and any job that we were put in position to do, we are to accomplish it and work towards its completion. How much more is it our responsibility to help those that are lost and in need of knowing how to better themselves, how to interact with each other, how to help honor and respect others, to obey laws and principles that are put into effect for their well-being. God has instituted all of that, so why would we not teach or help people to come to the realization of what really matters? It's greatly important, and it's shown time after time that we were made to worship and serve God. It's in our very DNA. Many children and students don't only want to know basic knowledge about math, science, and other topics. They're useful for natural earthly applications, but they also want to acquire wisdom and understanding about how God wants us to do and proceed in our lives, so they can understand how to treat each other and how to better and upbuild and support each other to make the tasks in this world easier, and to have helpmates to call on for assistance, to work together spiritually and physically, and have a love that they may have never experienced anywhere else. I think this LifeWide program will be very beneficial. Thank y'all for y'all's time.
Thank you. All right, and the final speaker I have signed up is Jeff Townsend.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Townsend. I'm from the Reed Creek District, and my topic is LifeWise. Now, you've just heard several great result-oriented reasons to incorporate LifeWise into the Henry County school system. I want to give you a practical reason. I retired as a manager from Duke Energy, a Fortune 500 company, and I learned over the years how successful organizations and successful operations work. And one of the key ingredients into being successful is to establish goals and then always be looking forward, always be moving forward towards reaching those goals. Now, the metrics we used at our company, I know they're in measuring successes are different than the metrics used in a school system. But as a citizen of Henry County, the primary metric that I look at is the quality of student that progresses through the grades and then leaves here after graduation. Now, we're here tonight, we're presenting a program to you with a positive track record. This is a program that's been tried, tested, and proven to deliver positive results. This program, LifeWise, it delivers the same quality of positive results that my management team always looked for when we would benchmark other utilities across the nation. And we're presenting a program to you to incorporate into the school system as you all look to the future and you look at programs that will have a positive impact on the children and the young men and young women of Henry County. We all want the same thing for the students of Henry County. We want students with positive attitudes. We want students that are well-rounded with high self-esteem. We want students that will respect their peers and will respect their teachers. We want students that will progress through the grades all the way to graduation and then be ready to go out and contribute in a positive way to whatever community they live in. The LifeWise program, it's a program that will help achieve this goal. It has a proven track record, a program that's already been tested and incorporated into schools around the nation. And it's a program that will help deliver these results. So I want to thank you for letting us talk about this program, present this information to you. Thank you all for your service to Henry County. And we're available if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, that concludes the public comment section. As mentioned, we can revisit some of, as some of you mentioned, we can reach out to you later and talk about further. Currently, we'll continue through the agenda as it's outlined and may be able to come back to at a later point, this meeting or another. So the first item we have in C, awards and recognitions, is the American Legion Flag Etiquette Homer Dillard Post 78. And see many of you here, and I understand you have a presentation to make.
Good afternoon. I'm Curtis Miller, a member of the Irishwood District, a Henry County School graduate, a Henry County School teacher, and a Henry County School board member. I am a member of the American Legion Armadillo Post 78. We are America's largest veterans organization. Formed in 1918 in Paris, France, at the end of World War I. Where veterans is our number one objective, taking care of our veterans. Number two is our youth, because we realize the youth are our future. To that extent, we offer a number of programs beneficial to the youth in our schools. We offer the high school oratorical contest, which is a scholarship contest. We offer the flag etiquette class to the elementary school students. For the past 2 years, we've presented to all of the elementary school 5th graders. We offer junior law cadet, we offer boys state, girls state, and annually we give scholarships. When we go to the schools to present the flag etiquette class, we first show them a DVD entitled "For Which It Stands." It explains why we stand when the national anthem is being played. We give them some facts about the flag. We also show them how to properly fold the flag. We are pleased today to have some students from Bellevue, and we're also delighted that we've had working with them for the past week, Officer Petty, SRO at Bellevue, and also a veteran. So at this time, they would like to come up and show you what they've learned on how to fold a flag, and I think we have someone telling what each of the 13 folds mean.
Thank you for allowing us to be here this evening to share a small portion of what we have learned from the American Legion that presented at our school. We appreciate being able to learn about the flag from the honorable men and women that have served our country. The American flag is a powerful symbol of the nation's identity, history, and ideals. Its importance stems from its representation of values such as freedom, unity, and resilience. The flag is a symbol of freedom and democracy. The flag is a tribute to those who have given their lives for the country. The flag has a historical legacy. The original 13 colonies are represented by the 13 stripes, and the 50 states are symbolized by the 50 stars. The flag is a symbol of pride and patriotism. As we flip the flag, we will share what each of the 13 folds represents. This tradition is often observed during the military and the patriotic events. The first fold symbolizes life. The second fold represents our belief in eternal life. The third fold honors our veterans who gave their lives to defend our country. The fourth fold represents the citizens' trust in God. The fifth fold pays tribute to the United States. The sixth fold is in honor of where our hearts lie as we pledge allegiance to the flag. The seventh fold is a tribute to the armed forces to protect our country. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered the armed forces with hope of peace. The ninth fold is in honor of womanhood and their character that has helped make this country great. The 10th fold is a tribute to fathers. The 11th fold represents the lower portion of the seal. The 12th fold represents faith in God internally. The last fold, when the flag is completely folded with only the stars exposed, reminds us our national motto, "In God We Trust."
Mr. Chairman, in honor of Veterans Day, we do have a proclamation to read. So I would like for all of our veterans present this evening to please stand so we may recognize your service while I am reading the proclamation from our governor. So if you are a veteran, if you would please stand. Whereas Virginia is proud to be home to over 690,000 veterans. Whereas throughout the history of our nation, brave Virginians stepped forward to serve our country, defend our freedoms, and preserve the liberties that enrich both this nation and the Commonwealth. And whereas Virginians live in freedom today because of the contributions and sacrifices made by those who served and by their family members. And whereas veterans and their family members are an essential part of Virginia's workforce, including Virginia businesses, government agencies, and nonprofit organizations that benefit immensely from their education and training, leadership skills, and dedication to mission completion. And whereas veterans and their families are integral members of diverse communities, contributing their experiences, skills, and time to civic service and causes that make our Commonwealth the best place to live, work, and raise a family. And whereas on this Veterans Day, Virginians remember that we are forever indebted to those who stepped forward to defend the blessing of liberty. And whereas, as we reflect upon the enormous contributions made to our country and Commonwealth by our veterans, we also pay tribute to those who are currently serving in our armed forces at home and abroad, and who remain committed to sustaining this legacy of unyielding patriotism. Now, therefore, Governor Glenn Youngkin does hereby recognize November 11th, 2024 as Veterans Day in our Commonwealth of Virginia and calls this observance to the attention of our citizens. Please join me in recognizing our veterans today.
We are now to take your legislator to school month.
Yes, our school board members are absent this evening. Mr. Bateman is doing the road work for driver's education, and Ms. Patel is observing Diwali with her family, a religious observance in the Hindu community, and so they both plan to be back with us next month. So this particular proclamation is for Take Your Legislator to School Month. So whereas local school boards and state legislators must work together to promote high expectations and transparency that helps Virginia students become productive, hardworking individuals, and whereas a best-in-class education system is essential to the economic prosperity of Virginia and ensures that we continue to make social, technological, and scientific advancements, and whereas it is critical that all students in Virginia are afforded the opportunity to receive an excellent education, and partnership between parents, teachers, school boards, legislators, and education leaders is paramount to our students' educational success. And whereas Virginia School Boards Association's Take Your Legislator to School Month serves as an opportunity to promote productive relationships between state legislators and their local school boards to best serve Virginia students. And whereas Take Your Legislator to School Month acknowledges the hard work and dedication of the teachers and education leaders serving Virginia's public schools. And whereas during this month of recognition, Virginians are encouraged to have a renewed commitment to putting our students first. Now, therefore, Governor Glenn Youngkin does hereby recognize November as Take Your Legislator to School Month in the Commonwealth of Virginia and calls this observance to the attention of citizens. Henry County Schools will be hosting Delegate Ren Williams and Delegate Eric Phillips on Monday, November 11th at Bassett High School. And I'm just going to keep rolling with your, yes.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment before the post left us.
Yes, sir, please, go right ahead.
Well, first, let me say thank you. And I guess from the student standpoint as well, you know, we hear it so often, you're never too old to learn something. I've seen the fold multiple times, but I had no idea every fold meant something like that. I mean, that was very educational for me. And I just want to say thank you guys for what you do in our schools. Thank you, students. Great presentation. So I learned something tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Grabbley.
All right, so next item would be the Say No to Bullying poster winners.
Yes, so in efforts to bring awareness to the VSBA Bullying Prevention Month, aside from proclamation and numerous other individual school activities, the division held a Say No to Bullying poster contest. Winning posters have been printed and shared with schools to display, and each winner will also be receiving a framed copy of their poster as a keepsake, and that is what is on display here before us. So when I call the individual students, if you would please come forward and come stand with your poster so that you can be recognized, and pause for a photo from Miss Easley. The first one I have is Anna Witten, Meadowview Elementary. And Anna, would you just step to that side and we'll get a whole group one when we're done.
Yeah,
I
I want to
next
see your
have,
poster.
yes,
I want to see your poster.
yes.
Oh.
Thank you.
And forgive me, Anna, I forgot to give you your plaque when you came up, but maybe we'll hold that and you can grab that when you come down, okay? Next I recognize Ireland Wooten from Drury Mason Elementary. Next is recognizing our middle school winner, and this is Mary Cash from FC Middle School. And our last student winner is Alexis Kennedy from Magna Vista High School. We have someone accepting on her back.
Yes. I'm Christina Weldon. I'm the art teacher. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take your picture too. And if we can get the four of you just across the center there.
I'm so proud of you artists.
That's pretty.
1, 2, 3.
Great. So this is for Alexis. Anna? Running out of hands, right? Okay. Ireland? Good job. Good job. Thank you all.
Thank you.
and our next recognition is Disability Rights and Resource Center Awareness Day.
I'm going to read you guys a proclamation. Whereas in 1988, Congress designated October as National Disability Employment Awareness Month to honor the valuable contributions of individuals with disabilities in the workforce. And whereas the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, signed into law on July 26, 1990, established a comprehensive framework to eliminate discrimination, affirming the civil rights of people with disabilities, and improving access to government services, emergency response, voting, and public education. And whereas the ADA has opened doors to opportunity and independence by removing barriers, reshaping public perceptions, and promoting full inclusion in community life. And whereas the Henry County School Board is committed to fostering partnerships with disability organizations to ensure that public spaces, transportation, and care systems are accessible to everyone. And whereas embracing inclusion and diversity strengthens our communities, promotes growth, and builds a more resilient economy. And whereas individuals with disabilities have the right to live independently, exercise self-determination, and be treated with dignity and respect. And whereas this year marks the 10th anniversary of the Disability Rights and Resource Center, which has provided essential services such as advocacy, peer support, independent living skills, training, and transition assistance to empower individuals with disabilities in our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Henry County School Board recognizes November 12, 2024 as Disability Rights and Resource Center Awareness Day, and encourages all residents to celebrate and support the ongoing efforts toward inclusion, accessibility, and equal opportunity for all.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Family Engagement and Education Month.
I have another proclamation, Mr. Chairman, for Family Engagement in Education Month. Whereas parents should sit at the head of the table in their child's education journey, and whereas family engagement is critical to ensuring a strong home-to-school relationship spanning pre-K to post-secondary education, and whereas families are essential partners to our teachers in the understanding of learning pathways for students that promote growth, proficiency, and enthusiasm for learning. And whereas a strong family-to-school partnership is essential now to enable and revitalize student achievement, which has significantly declined below pre-pandemic levels. And whereas positive relationships between families and schools strengthen student outcomes in the communities in which our children live. And whereas families, teachers, and schools must commit to ensure that their students attend school every day. And whereas schools, school divisions, and school boards are committed to providing necessary and accurate data about students, teachers, and schools to guide and advise parents on the best options for their students. And whereas family engagement teams across the Commonwealth ensure parents are active partners in their children's education. Now therefore, Governor Glenn Youngkin does hereby recognize November 2024 as Family Engagement in Education Month in the Commonwealth of Virginia and calls this observance to the attention of all our citizens. I will add that engagement is a key focus of our current strategic planning work that we are doing. We have a committee for family and community partnerships. So we are currently revisiting our practices, and we'll be including goals and strategies in our revised strategic plan that will be presented for approval in June of 2025.
And now we're to Native American
Yes,
Heritage
I
Month.
know. This is why we need our student board members.
I was going to say, we're putting you in the OT right here.
Yes, they owe me big time. This is a proclamation recognizing Native American Heritage Month. Whereas Native Americans have lived on the land now known as Virginia for thousands of years, contributing to its rich history and culture. And whereas Virginia proudly acknowledges the 11 state-recognized Indian tribes that call Virginia home, they are listed here in the proclamation, and out of respect for them, I will not attempt to mispronounce. Whereas thousands of Native Americans from tribes across the nation have made Virginia their home, adding to the Commonwealth's diversity and vibrancy. And whereas Virginia's Native American community enhances the Commonwealth with its cultural traditions and dedication to environmental stewardship. And whereas Virginia has a long history of recognizing Native American contributions, starting with American Indian Day in 1987, expanding to a week in 1988, and evolving into Native American Indian Month in 1996, with a special day of appreciation on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And whereas Native American Heritage Month is a time to honor and celebrate the invaluable contributions of Native American Indians in Virginia, who enrich our cultural fabric and strengthen the spirit of Virginia. Now therefore, Governor Glenn Youngkin does hereby recognize November of 2024 as Native American Heritage Month in the Commonwealth of Virginia and calls this observance to the attention of all our citizens. I know that Mrs. Easley does an amazing job promoting observance of our diverse populations in the division, and I am sure that she has media posts that will be shared throughout the month recognizing the contributions of Native Americans.
Thank you.
I'll just continue on, Mr. Chairman. We have VSBA Award of Recognitions for multiple board members this evening. These are awards that are given in recognition of various completions of board governance and participating in trainings. So I will first recognize our chair, Mr. Teddy Martin, for an award of distinction. Next, recognize our board vice chair, Mr. Ben Gravely. This is an award of excellence, Mr. Gravely. You're getting there. We'll next recognize Mrs. Elizabeth Durden, an award of achievement. And we recognize Mr. Champ Hardy, Award of Distinction. I am recognized as well with an award of recognition because, to Mr. Gravely's point, I only have 1 year of VSBA credit to my name at this point, so mine is an award of recognition. So thank you so much this evening.
Then we have student recognitions. Mr. Gardner. Scott Gardner, not Mike Gardner, not Attorney Gardner. Although at this point, can we ask about relation?
Scott Gardner, Magna Vista High School golf coach, Ridgeway District, and I am here to acknowledge the success for this season. In particular, one of our players, Luke Gardner, and Luke, you can come on up. Luke has been awarded a couple awards in the Piedmont District. He earned first team honors. So first team honors calibrates he shooting in the top third of the field, and in particular finished in the top 6. So first team honors, all Piedmont District golf this year. His second award, when he moves up to the next level, is regional golf. Regional golf including close to 80 golfers, and he placed in the top 12 of that, and it earned him all region golf second team in this year. So we're very proud of Luke and his accomplishments.
relationship.
All right, well, that concludes the recognitions portion. We will be heading into the information agenda. As many of you are taking the cue, you're more than welcome to stay. You are not obligated to. So feel free to make such a decision. We'll take a couple minutes while we let you clear out. Feel free. We technically haven't done that, let me not sign that yet. You good?
Football coach.
All right. I think we have adjusted, and folks who have wanted to depart have, and those who want to stay, stay. So we're up to the information agenda and about cell phone free education.
Yes, sir. This is additional information. This is an ongoing discussion that we have had in the division and, of course, with you, the board, going back to August, I believe. I have made this a monthly point of conversation in our board meetings, but we are now in that stretch of presenting to you this evening a draft of what will be our revised policy. As is our practice, it will sit until the next board meeting where the formal vote will be taken. But I do want to take this opportunity to once again share with the public where we are in this process and what this policy will entail. So I want to start by showing policy, or this is regulation, JFC-R, Standards of Student Conduct. This did require a revision to the existing regulation to bring it into alignment with the VDOE guidance and with the Governor's Executive Order 33. So what you see in green highlight is new language. What you see in that pink highlight with a strike through is language that we have now omitted from this regulation. So you'll notice that it does reference the bell-to-bell school day because that is language from the guidance itself. But this is really more in existence to provide a basic summary of what the standard is with student conduct. Where we really are focusing is on the policy itself, JFCG, and we have named that cell phone free education, which is the terminology coming from the governor. In the policy, you will see the definitions that are included. I want to emphasize this evening two particular definitions. Bell to bell, which means that is the first bell that rings to start the school day, to the dismissal bell that ends the academic day. Bell to bell does include lunch and the time in between class periods. So this will be the biggest change for our students. Stored is another definition that I want to be sure to stress this evening, because stored means that a cell phone or a personal electronic communication device is not to be carried on the student's person. So not in a pocket of their pants, not in a pocket of their jacket. It would need to be in a backpack. It could be in a young lady's purse, but it is not to be on your person. And then, of course, The actual policy draft includes a breakdown of the guidelines from elementary to middle to high, with slight variations within each. There are caveats for exemptions. I mentioned this to the board last month. Medical conditions that may be monitored with a cell phone. I do want to remind everyone that those would require a 504 or an IEP would be required for such exemptions, and that decision is not an automatic approval. It is a process of the IEP team in conjunction with the Director of Student Services and a designee of the superintendent. And then the policy also references emergency and non-emergency communication. So both times when parents may say, we've had a family crisis, I need to get in touch with my student, the process is that they call the front office, and that an adult, a caring adult in our school would be the one to go down and pull that student out of class and allow that contact to be made with the parent. Non-emergency would be, Mom, I forgot my gym clothes today. And so we are working through with our principals what that process will look like. Consequences, that has been a big conversation. We have developed consequences for both compliant behavior, meaning that if a student has the phone out at an inappropriate time, but when the adult approaches them, they readily hand over the phone. My bad, I'm sorry, you're right, I wasn't, supposed to have this out, versus a non-compliant behavior of absolutely refusing to give up the device, really becoming aggressive or agitated toward the adult making that request. So we are looking at making sure that that is a progressive discipline model, beginning with an in-school suspension where those students would be required to complete some learning modules that address that mental health component that was such a big part of the governor's initial authoring of that executive order, up to OSS, or out-of-school suspension, for those students who have repeated violations. Mrs. C., our Director of Student Services, is working with guidance counselors to develop those modules, and it is our intention to have those ready in January. We have also been doing, very conscious to do all of this work in cooperation and collaboration with our secondary principals, because we do see this is where we'll see the biggest impact. Elementary students typically are not carrying cell phones with them, but our middle school and our high school students pretty much consistently carry them with them every day. And so we wanted to make sure that our middle school and high school principals, who are going to be the frontline implementers of this work, had their voice heard in what those consequences would be, what those structures would be, what those processes would look like. So in terms of next steps, this policy will sit for review by board members until the December meeting, and then we will actually hold a formal meeting, as we do with all of our policies, at the December board meeting, and it would go into effect January 1 of 2025. And this would meet the expectations set forth by the governor's executive order that decreed that it would go into effect in January. Our student school board members have been tasked with creating a public service announcement. That will be a video that they are currently scripting and getting ready to record, and that will be shared through Parent Square over the winter break, just as a way of reminding students that this will be in effect when they return after winter break in January. Our high school and middle school principals are constantly engaging in conversations with students about this change. It is not something that should come as a surprise to our students, as I know our principals are frequently having those conversations and reminding them of this change. I do want to point out that the draft version of the policy is available to the public in Board Docs. If you access Board Docs, and I've got a screenshot here under policies, actually, it shouldn't be under meetings, it should be the policy tab, but it will say draft. And once you click the draft, you'll see a drop down for J, policy J, students, and that will drop down even further and give you the breakdown of those three distinct parts that I mentioned this evening. So those are all there for review, and at this time, if there are any questions from the board, I'm available to answer those for you.
I have three. First, thank you for your work on this. I know it's been a semi-last minute thing. I'd just like some more information before we actually vote next month provided to us. And the first would be thoughts on delaying the implementation of first consequences coming back from winter break to give them a grace period. Second, I would like to know how we are equipping the counselors with what those meetings will look like they'll be having with the students. And then third, I'd just like some information as to why, I know attendance is important and keeping our students in school is a focus that we have right now. Just look at why suspension is in place, or in school and out of school is our go-to versus maybe some alternatives like no after-school activities or Saturday school or things like that.
Right. If you want to go one by one, or would you like for that to be an update that I email to the board?
Sure,
to
that's
those three
fine.
questions, whichever is your preference.
That's fine. I would like to have the information before voting next month.
Ms. Meeks, did you make note of those three questions? Perfect.
Thank
And
you.
I'll make sure that I get something out to the board in writing
Thank you.
to answer your questions.
Did we address smartwatches?
Smartwatches is included in the language, so if you go into the draft policy, it references personal electronic communication devices, not just cell phone, and we did specifically spell out smartwatches as being included in that.
So they're gonna have to be stored. I was gonna.
Stored or just disconnected. There are two different versions of smartwatches, as I understand. There are those that can be connected to your cell phone plan that would receive data ongoing, and then there are those that have to be connected to Wi-Fi in order to access. And so we can control, to an extent, the Wi-Fi connection to it, but if it's part of their cell phone plan, that would be more difficult to do.
Yeah,
But our
well,
hope is in honest, transparent communication with our students about the why behind this, for wanting them to focus on school while they're at school, to not be distracted by social media and text from friends or text from different folks. Be a student while you're in school and focus on school.
Yeah, and I agree. I have a smartwatch. It's connected to my plan. My emails, my texts,
Right.
everything comes, and so that's why I'm.
Yes, no, you're right, and
I mean,
it
it's
will
gonna
be,
be-
it will be a conversation. And I think to Ms. Durden's point about why the out-of-school suspension, my conversation with the principals, I was very candid in, yes, we have to be mindful of our days out of school, and that if we are being mindful to practice progressive discipline, that out-of-school suspension should not be a first step. And that's why Mrs. C is working with the counselors to develop these modules that will basically help students process and unearth why we want you to focus, why we need you to be present and really engaged in your learning, as opposed to just sending them home where they will simply sit and be on their phone all day, right? It's much more productive, I think, to keep them in the building and have them processing through those modules and having conversation about the why of being a student while you're at the school. Okay?
Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any.
Okay, the next item up is legislative priorities. I know that last year this is not something that the board took up at this juncture, but this is a draft. It is clearly denoted as a draft. These are a combination of priorities that have been on the radar with the Virginia Association of School Superintendents, that have been on the radar of the Virginia Association of School Boards, and then also at the end of the document you will see that there are some priorities that the county has asked me for input on. I don't know if your pleasure tonight is to go through these individually, or if you would just like some time and send me some feedback. I am open to either, so Mr. Chair, I look to you for guidance on that.
Would look to the board for its thoughts.
I'd like some time to look at it.
I had a feeling that might be the case.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, so
The
functionally.
beauty is that we know the legislature does not convene until after the holidays, so we do have some time to consider, and of course, if there are other priorities the board would like to entertain, again, this is a draft, and so we can certainly add to or delete things that the board does not feel represent your interest.
Of course, I would also note that since these largely reflect the, either prior priorities of ours or those adopted through the state school board, state superintendents, et cetera, it's not like any of these are a situation where we would be concerned about pre-filing deadlines or that no one's taking up these causes.
Right.
There's quite a few behind it. It's more a reflection of us communicating to our legislators, and when we have our meetings with them, such as Monday when they come to visit our school, here's some of the talking points we might want to raise with them, kind of thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item up, I have school board committees. These are renewed annually. We start these in January. So I do have a quick survey there that I would like to ask board members to complete. Once again, it does ask for your first, second, and third choice of the three that we established, but I've also added a line for other if you feel that there is an additional committee that you would like to see added. I know that recently Mrs. Brenniger was asked by Dr. Boone to serve on our wellness committee. So Mrs. Brenniger may be devoting her time to that wellness committee work for this coming year. But if there are additional focus areas that board members would like to see included, that is why that other line exists on the survey. So if you all would make a point in the coming weeks to just complete that survey to let me know your interest, I would be happy to get that information pulled together and have that available for the chairman at next month's meeting.
My other comment there, speaking of the other line, could it also be used if a member had some other, comment regarding maybe this belongs in this, because I know there's some overlap and other features, like if they wanted to comment on, okay, maybe this should go to this committee versus that, or other thoughts on committees generally.
Yes, the other box is set up as a text box where you can actually add a comment. Yes. Okay. And then the last thing I have for you tonight under the information agenda is some information on the accountability model revisions from the VDOE. So just wanting to update the board, I do believe I have sent you a link a few times through board docs encouraging you to take a look at those revisions to the accountability model. So just a few points of conversation for this evening to bring everyone up to speed. So this is a basic timeline to show where we are. This PowerPoint was created before today, and as I understand it, the data has been delayed, so there was not a press conference today. It is actually scheduled for tomorrow. This presentation to you is to provide context for you all, for parents, teachers, students, and the general public who will have access to this released information in a public website, and it is my understanding that that will actually go live tomorrow. So we are in the fall of 2024, where schools and divisions have received a preliminary view of what their school performance would look like under the new framework. I want to make it very clear that this framework does not take effect this year. It is slated to take effect, as you can see on that last point on the timeline, it will take effect in the fall of 25 for the 25-26 school year. So what we've currently had under Virginia's accreditation system is you would see an annual report of, is a school fully accredited, is it accredited with conditions, or has it been denied accreditation? And this was solely to meet state statute obligations, and it focused on operational compliance. What the VDOE and the Commonwealth is shifting to is a performance and support framework that basically melds together various areas of student progress and performance. So at the elementary and middle school level, it is a combination of growth, and readiness and mastery. And at the high school level, it is a combination of graduation, readiness, and mastery as well. And there are federal identifications for improvement, whether that be no identification, a targeted support for improvement, which is known as TSI, or a comprehensive support and improvement known as a CSI designation. So the different components are weighted, and so you can see from this slide that at the elementary school, 65% of that weight comes from the mastery or proficiency on SOLs. 25% comes from growth, which is how well our students performed over previous performance. And then 10% is readiness, and at the elementary level, that readiness is chronic absenteeism, and that is for a total combined weight of 100. At the middle school, you can see it is slightly different. It's a 60% weight to mastery, or their proficiency. 20% is weighted for growth, how they improved over prior years. And then 20% in the readiness category, which is split 10% chronic absenteeism and then 10% on advanced coursework. So our students who take Algebra 1 at the middle school level would count in that 10%. Then at the high school level, you can see that it differs again, 50% mastery or proficiency, 15% based on on-time graduation with your cohort, and then 35% readiness. And I will tell you that 35% comes from a variety of areas. It does include chronic absenteeism, it does include advanced coursework, it does include participation in CTE certifications, industry credentials, whether or not you take the ASFAB, the Armed Services Assessment. There's a variety of things that factor into that 35% readiness at the high school. So this is a breakdown of the current scoring for all schools within Henry County. So you see that in the growth column there are 2 blanks, and that's because that's our 2 high schools. And you see that they have a score in the graduation column, which is part of their assessment, not growth. So the overall framework score is where you should focus, because that is on that scale of 100. And so you can see the breakdown by school. And here this is how the performance levels are identified. You can see that anything below 65 points is considered a needs-intensive support. If you score between 65 and 79 points, you are considered off track. If the point total is between 80 and 89, you are considered on track. And if you score above 90 points, that is considered distinguished under this model. So with this data, if it were applied to our scores from this past year, 9 of our schools would be categorized as on track, and you see them listed here. 4 of our schools would be categorized as off track. We do not have any currently classified as distinguished, but we also do not have any classified as needs for intensive support. So we are positioned strongly with having 9 of our schools on track, and 4 off track really lets us know where we need to be focusing our energy and our efforts. So this is for our information, for our learning, and that is exactly how we are using it. So in terms of supports, the VDOE is launching a website with multiple support documents. Those documents are targeted for groups of parents, for community members, for teachers, and for division leaders. Henry County Schools has also assigned division staff who meet regularly with the school staff as they work through their school improvement strategies. So that is someone from this 3rd floor, if you will, who goes out and meets regularly with that school improvement team to help them brainstorm, strategize, what are we looking at with our data, what can we do differently, how can we support teachers, how can we support students. And then we're continuing our intervention programs both during school and through our Saturday Academy that launched in September. So our next steps, we will continue our focus on high quality Tier 1 daily instruction. We are continuing to serve our students in small groups for those interventions, both during the school day and with Saturday Academy. We're monitoring our benchmark assessments, and those are conducted through the CIP consortium. I know there were some questions that came from that this month. I believe Mr. Gravely has a report for the instruction committee on that. We are working with our high school principals and the staff there to make some necessary changes with our course structure to meet the new framework requirements. And I am preparing a full briefing for the instructional committee of the school board and plan to share additional information during the school board work session on January 22nd. And I know that was a lot of information to digest in a short period of time, but I am, as I said, preparing a full briefing for the instructional committee, and then of course when we have our January work session, we can delve into this a bit more. And I believe that does it for me, Mr. Chairman.
Well, before we move, I'm glad you explained readiness, because that was one of my concerns. How are we going to assess readiness? And now I could understand the elementary, middle school, but looking at all the components for the high school.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean.
It's a lot. There are a lot more expectations at our high school, especially now with the monitoring of the 4-year cohort graduation rate. So we have had a significant number of students who choose to go through that GED route. I won't say that it's hundreds, but a significant number who have chosen that route. And now with this emphasis on completing in a 4-year cycle with your cohort, we're really going to have to be strategic and targeted with those students who are struggling to make sure that we get them across that finish line to graduation.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
All right. So that brings us up to E, the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve as a block, or is there anything that needs to be pulled?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, motion by Mrs. Durden. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Mrs. Breniger. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you very much. We are now up to the action agenda. So first, we have the approval of the Grow Your Own Teacher Apprenticeship Program. Ms. Miller.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Henry County Public Schools has been granted $332,701 in late liquidation ESSER 3 funds for a Grow Your Own Teacher Apprenticeship Program. These funds will be utilized to provide free tuition for Henry County Public School employees with associate's degrees to pursue a bachelor's degree and become elementary teachers. This is a partnership that we're working on with Longwood University. So it is recommended that the school board approve the Grow Your Own Teacher Apprenticeship Program and forward the appropriation to the Board of Supervisors.
I would just note, in honor of former Chairman Milner having been here, that 100% grant funded piece, because he would always say that when he was up here. Is there any discussion, or do we want to make a motion?
Is this money just for this year? Is it just?
It's for this cohort.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Gravely.
No, I was going to, just make a motion to approve, and then I'll follow with a comment.
All right. So
I move that we approve the Grow Your Own Teacher Apprenticeship Program.
All right.
Second.
Second by Mr. Alker. Let's do discussion, if you'd like, Mr.
Well,
Gravely.
I'm just glad to see it, you know. I think all of you, I know Miss, you heard me say Grow Your Own for 20 years, I guess. I don't know. But I'm just glad to see that money now is being used to help. I know we identify, well, part of the identification process is those paraprofessionals with associate degrees, but I don't know how many we have, but at the same time, I would like for us to make a concerted effort to really, I guess if you will, coach and persuade those that are in our critical shortage areas. You know, we know where those areas are. So if we have people working for us with their associate degrees, and I would love to see us really court those people and get them to enroll in our program.
Yes, sir.
You
This
know.
program is actually focused on elementary education.
Right,
But there
right.
will be other opportunities for us to continue to grow our own as well.
Right.
Other areas.
Right. And that's what I mean, men, for an example, in elementary school, we know that there's a shortage. So if we got people in our division that are men with associate degrees, let's encourage them to get in this program. That's what I'm driving at. And I don't mind going out and courting. All right.
All right, well, so we have a motion, we have a second. I believe, does anyone else have any discussion, or are we ready to vote? All right, nods I'm going with, we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous, thank you very much. All right, so we are now up to approval to purchase interactive technology. Ms. Fulcher.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. In the current RFP, active panels are purchased from Clinton Learning. The interactive equipment provides teachers the platform to create and facilitate multi-sensory, interactive, hands-on instruction while displaying on a large screen that is visible to all students in the classroom. It is recommended that the school board approve the purchase of interactive boards for classroom with a fiscal impact of $148,050 from FY25 instruction budget. And this is to replace smart boards or broken interactive boards, broken smart boards or broken interactive boards.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board? If none, do we have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Walker to approve. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Mrs. Brenniger. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you very much. We are now up to approval of the National School Lunch Program Equipment Assistance Grant. Dr. Boone.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The school nutrition program was awarded $50,000 by the Virginia Department of Education from reallocated federal FY 22-23 National School Lunch Program Equipment Assistant Grant Funds. Since the FY 2025 school nutrition budget appropriation was not planned to cover the expense for the capital item purchased with this grant, which was a walk-in freezer at Fieldale Collinsville Middle School, an additional appropriation is requested. It is recommended that the school board approve an additional appropriation of $50,000 to the school nutrition budget for the National School Lunch Program Equipment Assistance Grant and for the request to the Board of Supervisors. I do want to let the board know that the grant covered the entire expense of the walk-in cooler for Fieldale Collinsville Middle School. This is more so that we can reconcile their budget with the revenue that came in with the grant.
Got it. Any questions, comments, or do I entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I know this is definitely needed at FC, so therefore I move that we approve the National School Lunch Program Equipment Assistance Grant for fiscal year 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy.
Second.
Second by Mr. My comment was going to be Mr. Zaire liked making these motions because of his like for both recess and lunch. But so just had to go to the historical reference there. But we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Good to go. All right, then next we have approval for changing the date of the January 2025 board meeting. Dr. Blake Lewis again.
Yes, I'm talking a lot tonight. In looking at the January calendar and in looking ahead to set board meeting dates for next year, we realized that the meeting date, which is the first Thursday, actually falls on January 2nd, which is a board holiday for members of the third floor staff. So I respectfully request that the board consider changing that meeting date from January 2nd to January 9th to allow division staff to enjoy that board holiday and not have to come in for a board meeting that evening.
Any discussion, or do we entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by Ms.
Second.
Durden, second by Mrs. Brendiger. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. There we go. So we'll just keep you up here since it's
Yes,
now
yes,
time
yes.
for superintendent's reports.
Yes, so the November edition of my monthly highlights is available there for you under executive content. Just want to highlight a few things. General Vi came and made a visit in the county last Friday. It was incredibly well received. He is an alumnus of Henry County Schools. His message was very timely. It centered on keys to success. There are some great pictures that I've added, but I do just want to reiterate his keys to success, which were his talking points. It all starts with a good education, is point number one. Find your passion. Set high goals. Work hard every day. Stay focused. Make smart decisions. Believe in yourself. Be a good person. And remember that it's never too late. He ended his talk and discussion with students with a group chant of think it, believe it, and you can achieve it. So it was a wonderful experience for me to spend the day with him. I know some of you also came out and were there to meet with him. An all-around good day for our students to have that exposure. I do have my month at a glance. Of course, tomorrow afternoon at 3, Delegate Phillips will be with us to read his proclamation resolution for the Ramey family. So I do hope that all of you have that on your calendar and plan to be here on the 3rd floor tomorrow at 3 to participate in that. Monday, November 11th, of course, is VSBA Bring Your Legislator to School. We will be meeting at Bassett High School, and we will be treated to lunch by the Culinary Arts program there. So definitely looking forward to that. I also have Teacher Advisory Monday afternoon at 3. On November 12th, Mr. Gravely, I think it's still you. We will be at the Governor's School Executive Committee meeting that afternoon. November 13th, I have my Regional Superintendent's meeting. On the 14th, I have Parent Advisory that evening at 6, and then Support Staff Advisory on Friday morning at 8:30. And then, of course, many of us will be involved in the Virginia School Board Association Conference November 20th through the 22nd. Ms. Meeks did make a reservation for all of us with the RRMM dinner. But we do have one additional night, which is Thursday night. If there are board members who would like to plan a group dinner, please let me know, and I would be happy to coordinate that for those of you who are attending. I also have a link here for you to my November school visits. So if any of you are ever wanting to come and make a visit, I think those of you who were present at Axton today certainly had a wonderful treat in being able to visit classrooms there, but I make visits every month. So if you're ever in the neighborhood and you see that I have a time scheduled to be at a school, please stop in and join me on my visits. Take your legislator to school. I've just got some brief information there about the times and what we will be doing while we're at Bassett on Monday. An Education Foundation update. I have so far met with 8 individuals who have expressed interest in being part of our Education Foundation, and I have a few more lined up. I am planning an organizational meeting for that in early December, so I will continue to update you as we make progress with that endeavor. Last week, I think it was, I sent you an email with a link to a document requesting you to sign up for your 2x2 meetings. I believe as I looked at that coming into this meeting, I think everyone has now signed up for a meeting. So please be sure that you've got that on your calendar, and we look forward to talking through these initial budget conversations with you. I have briefly mentioned this, I think, that the teacher leadership cohort that we are getting underway. This is a grant with the Harvest Foundation in collaboration with the Center for Creative Leadership out of Greensboro. This will be a 2-year professional development initiative that is designed to empower teachers with the skills, strategies, and insights to become dynamic leaders. It is not focused on growing them into becoming principals or assistant principals. We want to recognize that some teachers choose to stay in the classroom because that is where their passion lies. But we want them to understand that they have the ability to affect change in their building and to lead within their classroom and lead among their peers. So that will be the focus of this initiative. As of today, I've had 23 teachers express interest in the cohort. The application is open through tomorrow. We are also using the grant funding to provide support for the continued cultivation of leadership within our school division, and that will include principals and certain division staff. So this is going to be an ongoing 2-year project that is funded by a grant from the Harvest Foundation, and we are very grateful to have them as a partner. The final page of the update does have some shots from General Vi's visit, and so I hope that you enjoy seeing those and seeing our students engaged.
Thank you. All right, that brings us up to H and committee reports. And ironically, it's now listed, I believe, in the form that I tend to call on you anyway. So, although my joke to you before I call on you, Mr. Bradley and Mr. Alker, is we assigned the student board members work and then they couldn't make it. But that would be my one joke for, you know, we tasked them with things. Admittedly, driver's ed's important, I acknowledge that, so I just had to do the joke. But you, Mr. Gravely, and Mr. Alker for curriculum instruction.
Okay. We have 2 items that we'd like to bring to the board's attention. I will first comment about our CIP program, and then Mr. Alker will share some of the concerns with our tech programs, Warrior and Bingo Tech. All right, so just to bring you up to date with our CIP, and I'm going to call on Ms. Milner as well to give us some more details because she's actually the one doing the work, but to bring us up to date. The instruction committee has been discussing data, results, and the need for more rigor with the updated standards, extensive resources, looking at data from a deeper standpoint, and looking at strategies that have proven themselves to be successful across the state, which brings us up to our involvement in the CIP, Instructional Program of Virginia. Now, again, this is something that we've embarked upon, as the superintendent has mentioned to us a number of times. Right now, I think our rank in the state of Virginia is around about 94, I believe it is, 92, so there are some things that we need to do different, all right? And joining this consortium, we hope that will bring us the results that we're looking for, all right? So with that being said, Ms. Milner, if you would, just what does that look like, if you will, for our division and our schools? As a caveat too, as mentioned, some of us was at Axton Elementary this morning, and actually their staff made reference to CIP and what they're doing. And from what I've gathered, and listening and visiting classrooms, of some good work taking place.
Yes, sir. So at each of your stations, I gave you an at a glance of what CIP is. Last year, we started just kind of taking a look at CIP, this consortium. It started with Region 7 in Southwest Virginia, and to date, there are over 70 school divisions that participate in this consortium. And what it does, it provides not only the central office staff, but it provides the teachers, the administrators with various resources that they can use that with everyone working together. So you think about, you know, your personnel resources, right? So we have one math person that's working on it. So if we, as a member of this consortium, it allows us to have multiple people working on, again, the new standards, also the common assessments, common formative assessments that we give. You've probably heard a lot of people talk about the benchmark assessments. It's imperative that we have that common assessment that we can look at as a division. And so when, for example, Ms. Mead, our math STEM coordinator, when she goes out and she talks to our elementary staff members about science and she talks with them about math, she's able to pinpoint what weaknesses they have. She's able to look at the data with them as well as help them to determine what next steps they need to make instructionally. So overall, with all of our subject areas, that is a great benefit of us looking at the data, allowing the data to drive our instruction, and then if we see that there are gaps in our instruction, it allows us to provide professional development for those teachers. That's one component of it.
Okay. And so this is not geared just for our SOL subject areas. This is all our teachers involved in this, correct?
Well, this is mostly our SOL subject areas, yes, sir.
Okay, that's what.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And that's one of the things that
And
I
I'll be
figured
honest,
that, but
and
I
last
just
year
wanted
when we
to.
started looking at the resources, we were using some resources. And this year we said, you know what, are we gonna be all in? Yes. This year, based on our data, we determined that there was a need for more rigor and there was a need for more support. So we are all in. We have implemented in all of our grade levels as well as our subject areas, SOL content subject areas. So we are all in. We have teachers that participate. They actually go to the professional development. They're actually part of this collaborative work. So it's not just us sitting back, Henry County Public Schools, just receiving information. We are a part of the work as well.
Okay, and you mentioned all in, so I know part of Dr. Blake Lewis's comments when she first come on board, that if it's not working, we're gonna take it off the plate.
Yes, sir.
So this is something that the teachers are all on board, and
I mean, there have been
it's
some
very
growing pains.
sustainable.
This is something that, you know, when we started using some of the resources last year, a lot of people were excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
We did have some, just full transparency, we did have some technical difficulties with our math assessment. It wasn't anything that Henry County Public Schools had done. It was because we transitioned to a different platform called Mastery Connect. And we just had some issues with it talking. So when the outcomes, when the students started to take the assessments, they saw some coding errors. We realized that that was an issue. Our teachers are aware, principals are aware, technology department is aware, and so our technology department is working closely with Mastery Connect to try and fix this problem for us.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. Any, you got any questions? Okay. All right, thank you.
I'm supposed to.
Yes, let's go.
Mrs. Milner has been and will continue evaluating enrollment and performance data, along with current personnel resources to continue the future of the Warrior Tech program at Magna Vista High School. Each class in the program requires 2 staff members for every 50 students, impacting the program's sustainability. Due to similar considerations, the program was phased out at BHS earlier this year. You probably remember them as Warrior Tech and Bengal Tech. And once a final decision is made, administration, teachers, students, and families will be promptly informed. I failed to mention that BHS, its program is being phased out completely. Please note that this decision will not affect any students this year.
Well, then the next is Finance and Facilities Committee, and Mrs. Durden, for yourself and Mrs. Whitlow, I would note that she made me aware prior to the meeting Very understandable reason she couldn't be here with us, but just wanted to note that.
We did meet last week, and as we've already discussed, the finance department is already working on our budget for next year. Very thankful for that, as we're gonna start having those preliminary meetings. Most of the information that we went over is on the energy and facilities report that we have within our documentation, so I'll just kind of go over a couple of the highlights. The Bassett Fieldhouse has began construction. Magna Vista hopefully will begin soon. Drury Mason, it's the last school to get the inclusive playground equipment, and it should be installed this month. Laurel Park roof and the elevator bids are to go out before the end of the calendar year. And those were the big highlights, but more information on facilities is in that energy and facilities report.
Thank you very much. All right, so we're to student services, Mr. Hardy and Mrs. Brenniger.
It is Mrs. Brenniger and my pleasure to present the Student Services Committee report. Before I get started here, though, I want to thank Ms. Emily Taylor for helping me and Mr. Brenniger to compose this report. So thank you so much. So here it goes. Remember, some of my words don't quite sound as clear as yours, but you will understand what I'm saying. Okay, I will go over the first part, then Ms. Brenniger will finish up, please. In early October, the Special Education Advisory Committee of Henry County Public Schools held an informational meeting for parents and guardians of students with disabilities. Mrs. Brenniger was not able to attend due to a previous commitment, but with her being in the medical field and our conversations since then, I am sure she will add a lot to this report even after she says hers. Part. Emily Taylor, Director of Special Education, introduced Jeanette Hurd, Special Education Coordinator, and Ms. Angela McKissick, President of the SEAC. Mrs. McKissick introduced each of the agencies in our area that work with the students and their disabilities after they graduate or complete their public school education. Each agency gave a brief summary of the types of services their organization offers to support individuals with disabilities before and after graduation. I will just mention several points that were shared over the course of the evening. Number one, the Department of Aging and Rehabilitation Services provides a variety of services aimed at preparing students and adults for employment with job exploration, counseling, work-based learning experiences, counseling on educational and training options, workplace readiness training, instruction in self-advocacy. Their number one goal is to help individuals find employment in their career choice. Number two, we have one of the best community colleges in Virginia. In fact, I think it's rated number 2. But anyway, Patrick Henry and Community College offers a variety of advising for students with disabilities, and disability resource counselors assist students with both advising and coordinating any accommodation needed for the students in classes. Patrick Henry and Community College also offers transferred advising and opportunities for students to tour many of the four-year colleges in Virginia. The SEED program also supports a variety of Henry County Public Schools students each year.
And then 3, the Disability Rights Resource Center is able to assist individuals with disabilities in advocacy, peer counseling, post-secondary transition support, and independent living skills training. If an individual with a disability qualifies, a program exists where modifications are available to make their home more accessible to that individual. 4, Piedmont Community Services provided a review of the types of waivers available to individuals with disabilities who may require more significant support after high school. Of course, special education teachers are located in each of our schools to work closely with each student to complete their IEPs. After the presentations, the parents and guardians were able to talk to each speaker to obtain further information. This information was provided by division staff, and the SEAC committee is to be commended for arranging all these speakers to attend this informational meeting for the parents and guardians of our students with disabilities. And the next steps that we're looking at are to include planning in future planning sessions for parents and families of students with disabilities, and just kind of get the word out so that more can attend. And I wouldn't have never heard of this in this committee that's available, the board that's available, had I not been at one of these meetings. So aside from that, and then getting it out on Parent Square.
Thank you. Well, the next one listed is the student board members. Unfortunately, they couldn't be with us. The other thing I would say as far as mine, which I would note that to a point that's been made by some of you before, I think Dr. Blake Lewis took care of most of mine. You've either seen it with the Homer Dillard group being here, General Vi, the VSBA visit, so on and so forth. But I want to thank Dr. Blake Lewis and the staff for a lot of work went into each of those things, and I think they all went very well. I would also note to that point where she invited us to go with her on her visits to schools, I went with her to Campbell Court and Carver, and I thought those went quite well, similar to our visit at Axton this morning with VSBA President Patillo. I do want to note that he wished he could be with us here this evening. However, he's the chairman of Portsmouth City Schools, and so he drove from here right back to Portsmouth to run their meeting. So I just want to highlight that and appreciate that he, that's a 4+ hour drive each way he made to have that visit with us. So I was very appreciative that he was willing to make that. To the comment, and I'll just remind again really quickly, the proclamation in honor of Leslie we requested is tomorrow at 3. The Take Your Legislator to School Month event is Monday. I want to thank Mr. Hardy both for some of his help in coordinating that, as well as the invitation to President Patillo. And then finally, the Disability Right Resource Center recognition that we made. The request came from Pam Cobbler, who was here with us earlier. They have an event Tuesday as well regarding that. I will not be able to attend currently due to work obligations out of town, but did want to remind you all that that event will occur Tuesday, should you be able to make it. With that said, I think that takes care of one last one. The Lions Club fundraising towards additional Meadowview playground equipment currently is pushing near $100,000, since the state foundation has indicated that it will approve its matching grant, which then will get forwarded to the international. Should that occur, which we anticipate based off of statements there that it will, that would push near $200,000 from that fundraising for equipment here for our students. So just wanted to bring that update, and thanks for the assistance of everybody towards that. And we'll update as that goes. But that should conclude, I believe, my remarks on that. So we're up to board celebrations. Mr. Gravely, you got anything you want to?
Well, yeah, as indicated, I do serve on the governor's school board for Henry County Public Schools, and I just want to make you aware and acknowledge our students at Governor's School, and Ms. King, Shannon King, the physics teacher over there, in that her class was chosen to participate in the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety program. And this is a program that covers the entire country for the most part. And students had to submit a video of themselves. Part of the video, of course, had to be, showing their enthusiasm for safety, and they were chosen. Her class were chosen, so they get to attend, this facility, and this is where they test all the vehicles out there for safety. And they're gonna take care of them as far as transportation, meals, the whole gamut, and it's gonna be videoed and it's gonna be shown across the country. So I just want to acknowledge and make you aware of the work that our students are doing at the governor's school and Ms. King over there. I mean, this is, they were selected out of hundreds of schools across the country now. We're talking about across the country, so kudos to them.
Mr. Alker.
Well, one of the concerns that I have being on the board is that sometimes with the way things are going in the world, we forget our own. And I've had found out that like at Sandville, they have the backpack program. And so we help to go out and buy some food that will go in their backpack program. And I would encourage us as, to get excited about helping the children. A lot of them don't have anything to eat or very little.
Thank you, Reverend Hawker. Mrs. Durden.
I was gonna say nothing, but that just reminded me that CCL also has that program, and they are in need of food stuff to send home with their students for weekends as well. And they will accept gift cards too.
Good.
All right, Mr. Hardy.
Okay, couple of things. During National Bus Safety Week, I had the pleasure of riding Mr. Reverend Woody's bus 79 from the Career Academy to Magna Vista High School. The responsibilities of our bus drivers are many, but they always put one thing above everything else is the safety of the students. Therefore, I think this is a very good thing for us board members to consider doing, and it's one of the most enjoyable things I do during the year is ride the bus. Want to mention this, okay? Our two county high schools, Bassett and Magna Vista, played a terrific game on October the 25th. The score may not reflect, but it was a great football game. Both teams played hard and they showed tremendous sportsmanship. I have watched many football games, but this was one game that the final score does not reflect the great game played by both teams, Magna Vista High School and Bassett High School. The last thing will take me for about a minute. I was not going to mention this, but I feel it is necessary. On October the 8th, the Harvest Foundation put on an early childhood education seminar at the NCI. I went in there and I felt fine, but I felt a little bit weak. The seminar started and I said to myself, this is going to be a great experience. I even got my notebook out and started taking notes. I noted I was getting more and more dizzy, and I did end up in the ER at the Martinsville Hospital. Why am I telling you all this? Mr. Gravely and Dr. Blake Lewis was at my side until my family members arrived. Mr. Gravely got on the phone and called Mr. Martin and asked who should he contact. In a few minutes, Mr. Gravely had contacted my family and they had came to the ER. I say this because I want to thank Dr. Blake Lewis, Mr. Gravely, and Mr. Martin for sticking with me. I just hope that Dr. Blake Lewis and Mr. Gravely did not miss much of the seminar because I know it was a very informative one. Also, I know we have a great board. I know if the others were able to make the seminar, they would have been concerned too. Thank you, board, and Dr. Blake Lewis for all showing that you cared. And the last thing, we probably won't have another public meeting beforehand, but happy Thanksgiving to everybody at the end of this month.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. I do have to say before we go on, you're probably the only person that has a hospital visit and apologizes to others about their time and inconvenience and missing a seminar, but all right. Thank you very much, Ms. Hardy. Mrs. Brenner.
Mine is that Bassett Band of Distinction is 12-year state champs, so I think we need to commend and praise them. They've worked really hard, and they had a large group of seniors, from my understanding, that are really going to be sad. A lot of tears, and the parents. I know they had I think a board of parents for the band that really have put a lot into that. And then my other was going to be in regards to Halloween being over, and I know that several of the schools had trunk or treats for the kids, and I appreciate that they did that for the kids in the community, because the neighborhoods now are not like when we went trick or treating. The lights aren't on and you can't go door to door. You're kind of going to the trunk or treats and what's available for the groups. And I'm a huge Christmas fanatic, so I'm ready that Halloween's over, my trees are up, and we can enjoy the turkey at Thanksgiving with the trees up. It tastes the same, and get ready for the holidays. So
I'll just echo that, particularly I will say commend both of our high school bands, but yes, Bassett and the 12th championship. And admittedly, I'm a little lax on getting the Halloween decorations out of the way, but I am a big fan of the Christmas decorations. So I'm the type, you can do Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, do them all. But appreciate that. And we are now up to reminder of dates. As far I will remind you, of course, as Dr. Blake Lewis mentioned, many of us will be doing the VSBA annual convention in Williamsburg, 20th to the 22nd. Of course, our next meeting is scheduled for December 5th regularly, so the Thanksgiving reference are appropriate. The January 2nd meeting, of course, we have now adjusted to January 9th, so that'll be updated for going forward. That brings us up to motion for closed session. We have for this 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, the discussion of appointments and separations of personnel, and 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia for consultation with our legal counsel, the one of many Mr. Gardners, pertaining to actual or probable litigation. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Riley. Do we have a second?
second.
Second by Mrs. Brenner. Beat you by just a hair there, Mr. Hawker. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, we are enclosed.